Hello, everybody. We actually made it somewhat on time. We got Brooks going to be joining us tonight. Let me get some of this stuff down so I can see you guys. Let's see here. There we go. All right. Let me go ahead and bring Brooks in. She's going to be on the show with us tonight. We're going to be giving all the hard questions to Brooks.
As usual.
Just pass it off to Brooks, guys. That's the
Uh,
plan. And then, of course, we got this little feller aggravating me tonight. She's down here biting me. See her,
Aw,
Brooks? See how she
isn't
grabs
she
my arm?
cute? She's
She's got,
awesome.
she's just attacking me for some reason. I don't know why. She's biting me.
Did you rub
She,
chicken on your jeans or something?
I don't know. It might be the bacon. I might be in trouble. I think she might be cold. She's trying to snuggle.
Yeah,
To have so much hair, she gets cold. She's really cold natured. That's
yeah.
She'll just shake and get cold. But we also shared a pizza together a while ago too, so I made a pretty
Well,
good friend. She had a
mm,
barbecued Hawaiian pineapple pizza is what we had.
ooh,
That was actually
spoil
pretty
that
good.
dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if I'd like
Mm,
it. I'd never tried it.
I hadn't either.
It's really not bad. I thought it would, be kind of weird,
Uh-huh.
but I'm a big pineapple fan.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like pineapple
I
too.
like pineapple. Oh yeah, pineapple ham. Oh,
Yeah. Mm.
Mom makes it for Thanksgiving and Christmas. She'll make that and put the cherries on it and everything.
Oh
I could
yeah,
about
that's
eat
good.
that whole ham.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like pineapple upside down cake too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's good.
Cold glass of milk.
Yeah.
I can feel my
I,
A1C rising right now. I do. My favorite cake though is a chocolate cake. I love chocolate. Anything chocolate, like chocolate.
you know, I like chocolate. My sister, Tracy, she's now working in a chocolate place that makes Belgium chocolates. And yeah,
Oh,
every time she talks about chocolate, I'm going, I want some chocolate now.
yes, yes. I make a homemade 3-layer carrot cake.
Ooh,
And it takes me, by the time I start, by the time it's actually done and ready to eat, is about 3 hours.
wow.
But everybody loves it. Everything about it's homemade. The all the way from the and it just melts in your mouth. But you have to shave your own
Ooh,
carrots and everything.
sift your flour, all that good stuff.
Yeah, but it's so worth it though. It's a three-tier cake, and my mom says it's the best cake she's ever ate. And if she likes it, it's got to be good because she
Uh,
she'll let you know for sure.
yeah, for sure. Uh,
Well, let's see who we got jumped on in here so far tonight. I see Randy's moderating tonight. Thank you, Randy, for being here. We see Tracy's in there. Thank you, Tracy, for showing up. Scott's in there. Thank you, Scott, for moderating tonight. And Brooks will be moderating and probably co-hosting both. So we got the whole team here tonight.
I'm watching. Hello, everybody. I didn't say hello to.
I thought I heard a car start. That was kind of a weird sound.
I got somebody in the kitchen here, so
I'll start. It might have been this dog over here too. She's growling at me. She wants to play. She's
yeah.
on the end of the couch and she's hitting her 2 feet at me right now, growling, wanting me to come after her. Yeah, she likes you to chase her and then she'll chase you back.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Full energy.
yes. Logan found a baby kitten and
Oh,
caught it the other day, like Hunter did. And we have it in the house now, bottle feeding it, taking care of it. Well, she goes over and lays by the cage and just watches it, and then she'll stand up, bark at it, and then she'll run off. So I don't know if she's telling it to stay there or what. Kind of weird.
Yeah,
But she's never had babies, and every time there's a baby dog or a kitten around, she always is really, really infatuated with it. She ain't mean. She wants to take care of it.
right, right.
Kind of
I'd
kind of
I'd
funny.
say after the kitten got off the bottle, you'd see how they do together.
Well, she don't do good with the big cats outside because they whoop her. She
Oh,
takes off running from them.
oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, they don't like her too much. Oh, let's see. I'm gonna try to call out some names real quick. I'll do a roll call for everybody. We got PKR in here tonight. Nick Z. I don't think I've seen either one of them two. I think they may be new. But of course,
PKR's Patrick. He's been here.
okay. See, that's how good I am with names. I'm not good with names. There's Romans is in here.
Hmm.
He's got a Chihuahua. That's the first dog that bit me was a Chihuahua. My little cousin had one. He had asthma, and they told him to buy a Chihuahua for him that it would help with his asthma,
Yeah,
and it did help.
yeah, it does help. I don't know
There's Nick.
why. They say I don't know. They say the dog takes on the asthma. I don't know.
That's weird. I always wondered if the dog maybe calmed them down to where they could breathe easier. Because I know
That
that
could be possible too.
if it's hard to breathe and you have an animal around you, you'll focus on loving on it and stuff.
Right.
All right. Well, I guess we ought to get to the first of our show announcements. I want to do continued prayers for Red Tick Hound. I haven't seen him in a while, so um, we're just going to just confess that he's just busy and well, and he feels good, and he's out doing things. Uh,
Hmm.
I guess I'm going to have to do a boots on the ground. Mom told me I need to get my butt outside, so I'm going to have to do a boots on the ground coming up pretty soon. You know what I thought about? I thought this would be kind of fun, maybe a little bit fun for the kids even. I thought about going out Christmas Eve night, then a boots on the ground, and just see if I could spot Santa or Crumpet or somebody. Do like a fun little outing.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
I thought it might be kind of fun. I've always enjoyed Christmas and Christmas Eve, and of course, all my good memories of those days. They after Granny and Grandpa passed away, everybody stopped getting together, and I miss those days.
Yeah.
We
Totally
have a
understandable.
yes, we have a special guest on tonight. Jessie's going to be joining us. Uh, I'll let her plug her show and everything in when she comes on, and we're going to be doing a talk tonight, talking about probably a little bit of everything, honestly, because we always go different directions. But we're planning on talking about somewhere along the lines, we'll put it like that, of premonitions, dreams, deja vu, and things of that nature. Um, I think Jessie has a lot of knowledge in those areas. We always enjoy having Jessie on the show. She's always very nice, very welcoming. And I was able to be on her show, and it was a great show, and she's very welcoming, and really appreciated it. And it was my honor to be on her show. She's just a good person. And I'm going to go ahead and bring her on, I guess, and we can get started in all this opinions, I guess.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi,
Jesse.
Jessie.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here.
Yeah. I'm trying something new this time. My daughter let me borrow her headset, so you'll have to tell me how I sound if I'm okay.
I
Sound
real
good.
well. Yep,
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
yep. Yeah, on our last show, I was having trouble hearing you. I was trying to read your lips.
Yeah,
So,
and I just got finished doing an interview with Jesus Payan, and there was a little bit of back and forth delay interference too. So I'm working on it.
hey,
I'm figuring this out.
it it happens. It's going to happen, and it don't matter how long you do it. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'll have some nights where we can run a live and everything's perfect, have other nights where you can run a live and you got back feed, back talk, echoes. You got your chat freezing up, and
Yeah.
I think it has to do with how many people's on and using the programs and stuff, the internet and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But luckily, we got Brooks here. She fixes everything for us. So
Yeah. No. He's got a lot of faith in me, doesn't he, Jessie?
I figured it's better to put it off on somebody else. That way, you don't have to take the blame if it don't work out.
Yeah.
There you go.
Show me the bus.
Yeah. See, your sister's laughing. She agrees with me.
Yeah.
Jesse, I'm going to let you go ahead and plug your show in if you'd like. That way, everybody can know who you are, where you're from, and how to find you.
Okay, so my show is called Arcane Paranormal World. I only have one video out right now, the one with you and Justin Decker, but I am working on finishing up editing my second interview with Jesus Payan, as I said. A lot of interesting information in that one. When I was meeting with him, he had just got back from an archaeology hunt out on the mountains of his backyard, basically, and found some really interesting stuff and sent me a lot of pictures. So I can't wait to get that out. It'll probably be a two-parter because started off with maybe an hour, and next thing I know, we were on for like 3 hours. So
Wow.
it was a lot of good stuff. So yeah, I can't wait to get that out. So as soon as I can get some more videos out, I'll probably be starting to try and do some lives. And again, it's a learning thing, but I welcome everybody to come, share their stories, their information, or just contact me. They don't have to share with the public, but they can always contact me and just share their information, things that they know, and help kind of try and put the pieces together to this large puzzle that we're trying to figure out,
Oh, man. There's
Sounds
so
awesome.
many. Yeah, she has a really good show. I had a fun time with Justin Decker was his name, and
Yes.
I didn't even know who he was or met him or anything, and we done the show together, and I had a really good time. It was a really good show, I thought, and he had a lot of knowledge, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I think we ended up going like a little over 2 hours.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was good though. Yeah, he's got quite an interesting background too himself with working with his parent or missionary and meeting different cultures and his religious background with that. So yeah, it's always an interesting conversation with him.
And where he grew up.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of strange things that he can talk about. Yeah.
I didn't write much of a PowerPoint list tonight. I thought what we could do is go over some of the talking points that you wanted to talk about, and then if you had any questions like to me or whatever, we could just go into whatever.
Okay. Well, I did wanted to bring up that there are a few different misconceptions about premonitions and ESP, clairvoyancy, precognition, and all of the different things, dreams, and gifts that we maybe have been given by God. It's everybody always says in the Bible that this stuff is not. It's not something that we should be doing. It's not something that we should be seeking. And I think that is where the misinterpretation comes from. There have been so many instances of people throughout history and in the Bible that have been given these gifts from God. And it specifically says in there that we should ask him for the explanation and explain to us what these dreams are. And what I think the misconception is that we should not seek out the knowledge and the abilities to do these types of things on our own without having that basis with our Lord and Savior. Because much like the worshiping false idols, you become over obsessed with this stuff, and it can overwhelm and take over your life, and we lose the basis of where we're getting this information truly from. I do believe that there are so many different things, such as angels coming through and speaking with us, whether it be through our dreams or in person. I honestly believe that dreams are probably one of the most easy ways for us to interpret and to be able to understand, simply because we're in a state where we're not necessarily going to be as off-puttish or frightened if something comes into our dreams. I mean, even a nightmare that you might have doesn't always seem like it's starting off as a nightmare until it gets to that point. And we force ourselves to wake up, or we don't wake up and we end up in that, I can't think of the term for it, that paralyzed state of sleep.
Oh yeah.
There's all different things that go into all of the different things, especially with our brain and our mind. But the I think mainly the misconception of premonitions and clairvoyancy and precognition is the fact that we as humans should understand that this stuff does happen. Miracles happen every day. There are people that are given these gifts that are able to share. The ones that I have a really hard time understanding are the ones that are out there specifically looking for the money. And I don't know if well, you're about my generation too, so you probably remember what was her name? She had that lilt accent. She always had the on the TV, the infomercials, like call
Long
Miss
Island
Cleo.
Medium. Oh,
Miss Cleo. You remember Miss
Miss
Cleo?
Yes,
Cleo.
yes, yes, yes. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those are the types of, I mean, I know everybody's got to have a job and make an income and a living some way, but you'll find that there's a lot of people out there that do talk about the premonitions and the mediumship that they can do, and they're basically just doing it for either donations or whatever you can afford, or they're doing it basically because they know that people need help and they need support and understanding. It opens up a lot of people and brings people into Christ, and religion in itself too makes people kind of question the way that they grew up and their beliefs, and it's not necessarily all demonic. I mean, again,
Yeah.
there are things that are out there that we need to be careful of, but I truly don't believe that these gifts would be given to us as people of God simply as um, a demonic way of intruding on our lives and stealing us away. Especially when you hear about small children who, I mean, grew up dealing with this stuff and being able to see things and hear things and know things. They're the innocent ones. How are they? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we're probably going to pretty much agree
Yeah.
because, yeah, you know, uh, First Corinthians 1 through 30, talks about it that we shouldn't have nothing to do with parapsychology, but it says to test, also to test every spirit.
hmm
Um, I think where we get into trouble is the people, like what you said. I agree completely. You shouldn't seek it out. He says not to seek it out, so I agree. I have to agree with that. But I think that whenever you start doing that, that there's a big chance to be deceived, and
Yes.
I think to misinterpret who's talking to you or where it's coming from,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
hmm
like the tarot card readers, the people that astral project and all that. I believe that happens. I'm not a disbeliever in that. I do believe that happens. I just don't agree with where it comes from and how it's done. But I believe if you're asleep and a dream comes to you, or if you're out in the yard doing something and a, if you will, a vision, and you're not trying to seek it out, you're not trying to encourage it or rub a crystal ball, or I think that we get visions from God every day. Um, I think that He warns us for a good reason, because if we're being deceived by something like what you were talking about, doing it in the public, it's not only going to deceive you, but it could potentially deceive the people that watch you also. So it has a huge effect on maybe the salvation of somebody. So I think that it's a very powerful and unique gift, but I think that I believe that information will come to you when God is ready to give it to us, and not where we go out and seek it
Look
and try
for it.
to, yeah, to entice it.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to put this out there. So if you think about the way that the religion and the church looked at even medical professions back in the earlier days, when a doctor or a healer or something of that sort would try to administer a medicine or a practice that wasn't necessarily simply leaning over and preying upon the body for wellness and healing, they would consider that basically the same thing, that they were using um, satanic type rituals or beliefs or tools, and they were going to open up that sick person to be filled with demonic spirits by them, trying different things. A lot of people now refuse to use certain means of medical practice because they feel that if God wants their children or themselves to be healed, He will do it. It's the will of God, and that's it, and that's what they'll do. But won't necessarily seek the medical attention or the medical advice from physicians and practitioners in the medical field, even though they've done scientific research and have been able to. I honestly think that it's, again, a tool, a learning thing that, together with prayer and seeking out the knowledge of somebody that actually knows what they're doing or has been practicing long enough to know the human body and the way it works and how to stitch it back up. Um,
Right.
it works together in that aspect. And if you don't, who's to say that the medical profession or the doctors, the surgeons weren't given that gift of learning abilities by God so that they could help heal? And it's kind of the same aspect of what I'm want to try and get across about some of these clairvoyant, median, dreams that we might have. Um, Not all dreams are dreams. There's so many different levels to them, and who's to say that God isn't giving us those gifts, or even to seek out and ask for advice? Like, hey, I had this strange dream. I'm trying to come up these stairs and I just can't get up the stairs. I mean, I don't know anybody that hasn't had one of those dreams where you're trying to run and you feel like your feet are moving, and there's a meaning behind that. And it's also a proven fact that a lot of those times it's a when you have dreams like that, it's a meaning of you have a guilt, or you're trying to get away from something, and you have to try and refocus in your wake world to determine what it is that you're trying to um, or that you need to fix. The problems and the solutions kind of helps you open up. And but again, if we don't analyze our dreams and analyze our internal thoughts while we're sleeping, when our brain can actually relax and open ourselves up to that, we're closing that off, it might keep us ever from being healed in that aspect.
Yeah,
Well,
I where you talked about, the praying over somebody. I I totally agree with that.
mhm,
I think that what we have to be careful with is who we come in agreement with.
mhm,
Um, there's people out there that are, wolves in sheep's clothing, and if
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to come in agreement with them and be fooled. I know I've been fooled, uh, but um, as far as the doctors, I believe that God gave them the knowledge to be able to fix this and stuff because, people say, well, faith, is should heal you. Faith will heal you. God
Mm-hmm.
told us if you had the faith of a mustard seed. But the thing is, a lot of people don't have that much faith. And God knew that because he knew that our flesh was weak. So God gave certain people this knowledge to take care of those that don't have that much faith. It's it all comes through God, however they look at it. If it's a doctor fixing you or if it's God that does it, it's all from he allowed them to learn how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you
I
know,
agree. My dad was a DO, a physician and a surgeon for over 55 years. So, and he was a Christian man and he had a lot of knowledge. And I do believe people, are that's a gift.
Yeah.
The doctors are a gift.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I've tried to study anatomy, and I was actually going to school originally to become a dental assistant. And I'll tell you what, because we have to go through all of the same classes as a doctor would,
Mhm.
and up until that final test point. And man, whew, yeah,
It's rough.
it sure is. But it's
and
interesting.
Yeah.
there was a story I read just the other night. There was a guy that was praying with another guy for a sick person in town, and this lady they thought was possessed. So they decided to take it upon themselves to go, I guess, exorcise her on their own. When they went to her house and done this, the lady was really bad about standing at her front door eating the flies off of the screen. The
Ugh.
weird thing was, after they done this, 3 days later, the guy goes to visit his friend. The lady's outside. She has her flowers up. She's cleaned her yard. She's dressed appropriately. She looks nice. Totally different person. So they were like, it worked. And then his friend noticed that his other friend was eating flies.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So it's like it passed from her into the friend.
Ugh.
hmm
Yeah. So I think if we're not sure what we're doing, or maybe not even strong enough at what we're doing, it's better to leave it alone because remember Jesus whenever Satan tempted Jesus, or not, yeah, Jesus, he didn't just beat Satan. He referred back to God. He said, "It is written. It is written."
hmm
These beings are smart and they're powerful. They were there from the beginning also. We like right now we've all been to Walmart. We know there's a Walmart. When you go in a Walmart where the baskets are at, and pretty much where everything's at and what you're going to get and how you're going to get out of there.
hmm
Now, let's say you take it back in the past where there was no Walmart. We're reading the book about Walmart. They shopped
Mhm.
there. They know
Mhm.
everything about it. So whenever we try to go against them, if we only know a little bit and you don't quite believe it, you're going to be in trouble because they lived it, they know it, and they believe it. And I think that's why it's important that I just call on God whenever I run into something like that because I know that I don't want to battle one myself one on one because without God, I'm nothing. Anyways, I would be defeated. I feel like that video that I showed Brooks. I've never been disturbed so much in my life on any hunt. I seen a demon one time in my life, and that bothered me. I'm not going to lie, that bothered me bad. I mean, it got me saved. But the night I went out, where those little black things on the ground were running around me, that bothered me more than seeing the demon. And I think the reason that bothered me more is because I could not see them. I was standing out there in the open. The lights are on. I got a flashlight. I could hear them. I could hear the sticks and stuff. That's why I had my gun out, because I could hear stuff walking, but I couldn't see them. And I was like, what is that? And I didn't even notice till I got home and was editing, and I ended up calling Brooks and everybody at like 2 in the morning. I was like, you ain't going to believe this. And then, I don't know, Sarah got that picture of that lady standing out there at the same place. And I didn't see her either. Sarah actually seen her with her naked eyes. I couldn't see her. But that really bothered me. Then now it makes you think, when you go out, or even where you're other places, what's actually walking around you that you're not seeing?
There are things all around us all the time that we cannot see. We're blind to. Something just popped in my head, and I was thinking, what the ground that you were standing on, I know it was like gravel, but what was it? Soft, like sand and gravel, or what were you standing on out there?
Where the black things are at?
Yeah.
It's a it's a road where people drove back and forth on the rocks. It's like a rock road.
Okay. I just had a thought, and I'll have to look into that, work on that one.
Yeah, they one of them looks like it comes up out of the ground.
Yeah. Well, and I remember watching that live and thinking, like, what are those? They're like rats or mice or something. And can Mike see those?
I
And then
know,
that's
me
when,
too. I'm
yeah,
going, hey, move, get out, run. They're
yeah,
all around you.
like they're gonna run up his leg or something. But they didn't. They kept a distance. And that's when I think Sarah had actually said, like, Mike, can't you see those? And see what?
I didn't see nothing. I couldn't
Yeah.
see nothing.
Yeah, that was really strange.
I think it was probably demons.
Yeah, something.
Spirits, demons, fallen angels.
Well, and again, you don't know. You're speculating. They maybe could have been something else that was keeping away other evil entities from you. I mean, they were kind of squirming around. You said you didn't have a bad feeling right there, but you could see things in the background and see things in the shadows. That kind of bothered you, right?
Yeah, I could see them. I could see shadows. Something actually hit the vehicle right before it started happening. You can actually see Sarah move.
Okay.
And then we got a picture of that old lady standing out there, was walking at us. And I think that if they were good, they wouldn't have tried to scare us. They wouldn't have done that.
Maybe they weren't trying to scare you. I'm playing the devil's advocate, I know.
Right.
But you have to kind of think of things, and that's one of the things that I've been trying to do with even my channel. You got to kind of think of things from all different possibilities and ask yourself all of the different questions too, because if you're following one possibility and you're not asking yourself the other questions of what could everything be, you might be closing yourself off to the actual answer somewhere. And you would know your feelings better than anybody else watching you, how it felt, what it seemed like, that physical experience. And that's why I was kind of asking those questions too. Could it have been? Maybe the lady was an angel or a a guardian spirit of some sort, and that's why they came down in a human form or projected themselves as a human form, so you would focus on them and not on the other shadows that were popping up and coming up over the areas too. Maybe she was protecting you.
Right. Well, another thing it made me think that it may have been possibly evil too was uh, it had stuck a feather in Sarah's door, and there's a place down there where we was real close to that is a satanic worshiping place that I can't get Sarah to go there, but I may
What
have to
kind of
go
a
there.
feather? What kind of a
Huh?
feather? What kind of a feather was
It,
it?
it was a big long feather. I'm guessing it was probably maybe like a crane or something like that. It was a long white feather.
Huh,
Hmm.
really?
Oh yeah, it was. I think she still has it. I'll have to see if she still has it. Yeah, it was probably a 8-inch feather, probably something like that, 8-10 inches.
I
Wow.
would want to test to see what and check and see what kind of feather that was, because there have been several times I've heard witness accounts where things like that have happened, and they've seen feathers afterwards in their homes, vehicles, outside. Like a feather will just show up out of nowhere, no birds in the area, or they're, large white
Wow.
feathers, small white feathers,
Hmm.
and a lot of them have attributed them to the presence of an angel leaving their mark. That's
I don't
interesting, though.
know.
I didn't hear you say, I hadn't heard the feather thing before, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stuck in her door. What do you think,
Yeah.
Brooks? Brooks
Well,
did.
yeah.
She's deeper into this than I am.
Sarah had mentioned, was it that night that she had loved feathers? And then all of a sudden there's a feather in her door. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
said that. She said that while we were down there. She's like, "I love feathers." And
Mm.
then we got back to the car. There was a feather stuck in her car door. She's like, "Oh my god!" She freaked all out.
Well, did you hear? It kind of really spooked Steve Isdall, the whole incident that happened with his hunting knife that he had gotten after he came back from his last or second to last hunt.
Huh?
So about a year ago, and I'll shorten this up because you have to check out the show. I think he recapped it back on the show he did with Nino, but about a year ago, he had this gift that one of his viewers had sent him, a handmade like hunting knife. It just went in a sheath, and it wasn't like a folding knife or anything. So he packed it up and went out hunting. While he was out, he forgot to either fully zip up the bag or the soft bag or something, and he had thrown it on the back of his four-wheeler. And when he got back, at one point, he ended up stopping and checking for the knife, and the knife was gone. And he's thinking, dang, I lost this knife. That really sucks. So just recently, this last time he went, so now a year later, or maybe it was a little bit longer, I'm not quite sure. I'd have to go back. But he was out with a buddy hunting, and he was telling him, yeah, this is about the area that I lost my knife the last time, and it really sucks. I looked all around, couldn't find it. Oh, okay. So his buddy I don't know if his buddy ended up leaving, but he ended up relaying afterwards the story. So he had been packing and unpacking the same bag over and over again. He was looking for his mic stuff. He was looking for all these different things. And if anybody that watches Steve would know, he is meticulous about his hunting stuff, and he's very organized when it comes to that. And the knife was not in there. Well, I guess he had set the bag down at one point, walked away for about 15 minutes, and came back. And when he went to pick up the bag, his hunting knife that he had lost a year ago was sitting right on top of the unzipped bag, just sitting there.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
There was a lady sent me a story the other day. It wasn't long enough for me to really do a video on, but Man, it made the hair on my neck stand up. She said her and her husband were laying in bed, and she saw like a little gray man, like a little alien, running around in their house. And she was telling her husband about it, and he's like, "No, no, 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 there ain't nothing in here." And they kept having like little things moved, or at nighttime, the ashtray in the front room might fall off the table, or something in the bathroom. But he would always attribute it to like the cat or something.
Mhm.
Well, their baby kept waking up. They had a little baby, and like a year old, and it kept waking up same time every night, 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So one night, the wife was laying in bed. She was saying, "I'm sick. Can you go check on the baby?" And he got up, and when he went in there, he saw two little white things run underneath the bed. So he goes and lays down, puts the baby back to bed. The wife gets up the next day. She's reviewing the footage of the camera they got in there. And this little gray thing takes off running and crawls underneath the bed. Well, when
Mm.
she rewinds it to show her husband and plays it again, it's gone. So he thinks that she's totally losing it. So
Mm.
the next night comes and she's sick again. So he gets up. He goes to go in, check on the baby. But this time, the dad knew something was wrong. The side of the baby bed was let down, and a jump rope was tied up to the other side of the crib, and around the little baby's neck. And the baby was about to fall off of the bed.
Oh,
So she said that they had to move immediately. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
yeah. That's scary.
Yeah. Oh
So it was
wow.
trying to, yeah, it was trying to do harm to her baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
Brooke knows
not
all about those.
Yeah.
Brooke had a little gray man in her house looking at her to bed like this,
Mm-hmm.
face to face.
Yeah. Right at me. That's when I said, Lord, I need to know what these things are, what all this is about. And that's what got me started on my researching. I've had more paranormal things than cryptid. I really hadn't. I had one cryptid experience, and that I didn't see it, but I heard it. It was right by our tent. So, and that was in southern Colorado. We were on a hunting lease, but it wasn't hunting season. And the man that owned it said we could go camp there, and there's a little stream there. Caught the biggest trout of my life out of that little stream. And that night, we heard the awfulest, loudest scream you've ever heard. I mean, there was how many people? There was about 4 or 5 of us, and there was 2 tents. And I mean, we all sat up. Everybody grabbed their guns because it was right there. It was just right there at our tent, and nobody was brave enough to go out. So
I
we
don't
don't.
blame them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Looking back on it, it was probably a Bigfoot because we were in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
So that's my cryptid encounter.
There was a lady talking the other day. Y'all ever heard of what they call monitoring spirits?
No.
Mm-mm.
I was watching a show the other night. They had Christian professors on there, and they were talking about what they call a monitoring spirit. And what they do is they monitor people, and they run
Mm.
and tell the other ones like what's going on, like if you're having trouble in your
Oh.
house or something like that. And I was like, okay. And he said, bear with me, I'm going somewhere with this. And he kept talking and talking, and it was all about how they watch and how they tell people like these people are vulnerable because they're having marriage issues. The wife, she cheated. Just
They're your
you know,
familiar spirits.
yeah. And he
Hmm.
ran it all back and said he was saying that's why people should not have the elf on the shelf.
Ugh.
because he said the elf on the shelf is supposed to be a monitoring spirit, and that's what it all goes back to. And I was going to get your opinion on that, Jesse. What do you think? Is it okay for the elf on the shelf, or is it just how you believe, or what do you think?
I'll tell you, dolls creep me out to begin with. um, I had a friend years ago, actually, for a birthday present, bought me a cherub that was supposed to like keep watch and protect, and I used to keep it above my um, entertainment system when my daughter was little, and now it sits in my room. That's probably the closest thing to a doll um, that I would have. Although I do lie, I do have an Alice in Wonderland doll that's sitting in my living room, but that's part of a project that I've been trying to work on, trying to clean it up and remake it. And I wanted to turn her kind of Alice steampunk. Um, but yeah, otherwise, dolls in general just kind of creep me out. My grandmother used to keep those porcelain baby dolls on her bed.
Ooh.
Every morning she would wake up and she would make her bed and she would have all of these dolls in her room and all over the shelves. And it was just like,
My grandmother, my dad's mother, collected baby dolls, and I mean, she had a whole bedroom full of them, and there was four total of us granddaughters and one grandson, and we were not allowed to play with those dolls, which we didn't want to. But yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
creepy.
when my other grandmother passed away, she had bought my mom hands me this box and I'm like, "Oh, okay, what's this?" And she goes, "Well, it's the Jessie doll." And I went, "What?"
Mm.
And I opened it up
Yeah.
and it was a baby Jessie that my grandmother had bought when I was little that she wanted to give to me. And I'm like, "Okay." And dear to my heart because it was my grandmother's that she thought about me, but I can't bring it to take it out of the box because
Yeah.
it's creepy. So Elf on the Shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, my mom, she liked to collect clowns.
Ooh.
So she had like clown faces hanging on the walls, and yeah, they're kind of freaky to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what do you
I
think?
don't like fur babies either. We had some of those. They're bad
Oh yeah,
news.
really?
Yeah, fur
Fur,
babies are not good.
fur babies or Furbies?
Or Furbies, yeah,
Okay.
Furbies.
I'm like, I've got two
Yeah,
fur babies.
no, Furbies.
Okay.
Furbies, yeah, no, they're not good.
Or the little treasure troll. I know the trolls thing are making a comeback because of the movies, but growing up, there was all those little trolls. I had friends who collected those too, and yeah, those are kind of I don't know. Can't stand eyes staring at me.
So do you think that the elf on the shelf is okay?
I guess it's all what you believe, all how you feel. Um and again, I don't think that anything can possess a doll, but it could use it in ways to make it seem creepy, um, and cause problems and havoc. And sometimes people give life to those elf on the shelf anyways themselves, you know. Um, I've seen pictures where, every day they've got, and that's creepy. They got something new, a different picture where, oh, look what the elf got into today. And they make little footprints and cookie
Right.
crumbs. And you're, yeah, I don't know. I've never been an elf on the shelf person,
I
I
but
think
never.
if it's done in fun and you're not sitting there worshiping it or doing weird stuff with it, I think you're fine. I think
I
it's
don't,
the people that really get into like the oh, it's alive. It really does move and it really eats, and we have to feed it every night, and don't make it mad or it'll come in the bedroom and bite your eyeballs out.
I've
Well,
never heard that.
I'll put it this way: if it's not where you put it the night before and nobody else touched it, Yeah, you get rid of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell you a story. When I lived in my first trailer house, uh, back in the bedroom where Kaylee's room was at, there was a bunch of teddy bears. And we would get up every morning, and every teddy bear in her bedroom would be sitting in the front room. And we had bought this house in a trailer park that was fully furnished. And we would put the teddy bears back in the bedroom. Next day, teddy bears would be sitting in the front room. And was like, what in the world is going on? That's the night, one of the nights I got up, and that stupid dog was in there walking on its hind legs. And I think that trailer had a lot of bad history because when we talked to the guy there, I don't think the people that lived there were such good people. And whenever we was remodeling the trailer, we found some things hidden in the walls that they couldn't have been good people. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and see that, and bringing that to mind, that would make more sense into why certain things would show up and disappear. And it's not necessarily the object itself, but yeah, if they're using it more as a medium, again,
Mm-hmm.
um,
I got a weird one for you. My cousin never had anything happen to him. His dad had went down to an old dump. He found a teddy bear in the dump, and his dad, it was a new one, so he brought it home and probably was going to give it to one of the nieces or whatever. But he brought it home and he set it in my cousin's room on his dresser. My cousin said it started waving at him at night, and he got where he wouldn't sleep in his room. Then it started walking on top of his dresser, and the teddy bear would like he'd wake up in the morning and be beside him. It got to where he would go to the bathroom and he would see a man standing in the bathroom. The chair at the table, I witnessed that slide out and the glass of water slide across the table like somebody sat down and moved a glass of water across the table. He came to my mom's one day and raised his shirt up, and it looked like a little baby had slapped him all over his belly and back all night. He had handprints all over him. And none of
Mm.
that had ever happened until they brought that little teddy bear home.
well, that would have been the first clue. Why is a nice brand new teddy bear in the dump?
Yeah.
Maybe you should have left it
Really.
there because somebody else figured it out before them. Yeah.
Yes, that's the little kitty that you hear, Dana. That's the little baby that Logan rescued. But yeah, yeah, I'm not. I'm like you guys. I don't want no teddy bear or anything like that
Mm-mm.
looking at me while I'm laying in there. It just,
Mm-mm.
you can you can order the Chucky doll now offline if you want it.
Uh, did I tell you that the my buddy Chucky doll incident that happened with my family? I don't
Uh
know if I mentioned that in the one interview. Oh, okay. My my brother is 5 years younger than me. We were being sat at the time. Um, he was probably about 3, maybe 4 when my buddy came out. My buddy was the hot item of Christmas. My parents searched all around because that's what my brother wanted, a My Buddy doll. And so they searched and searched and finally found this My Buddy doll. And, it was like the typical inline fighting over stuff. So this year I believe it was like right after Christmas. It was very much, my mother was so livid about this. So we had a temporary babysitter at the time. I think our normal babysitter was actually like on vacation or something. So it was just this lady like once or twice that was watching us. And back in the day, of course, we didn't know any better. So I came home from school, or I would spend the day over there. And then this babysitter would make us sit on this couch in the living room and not move. We weren't allowed to get up. We weren't allowed to play. We weren't allowed to do anything. It was just sit here.
Wow.
So, yeah. So her daughter comes home with a couple of friends. They had just gone up to the store, or the Blockbuster on the corner, and rented a movie. And we didn't know any better. We're hearing, oh, it's Child's Play. Well, as a kid, what do you hear? Child's Play. Oh, can we go watch the movie? And her daughter's like, oh, you don't want to watch this movie. It's not for kids and it'll scare you. And she was kind of mocking us. And we're like, we don't care. If we could get off this couch, we've been sitting here for like 2 hours. We need to get off this couch. And me having attention deficit disorder in the first place, I was just like ready to claw my way out of that house. I'm like, yeah, no, we're fine. So we went downstairs and we were watching this movie. And about halfway through, I kind of looked over at my brother and I'm like, you good? And his eyes are wide on the screen, like, uh-huh, uh-huh. And I always told my mom, she goes, why didn't you stop watching it? And I says, you get to a point with any scary movie where you just go, I'm all in. I've got to see this to the end because I know sooner or later the good guy has got to prevail. And if I walk away now, all I'm going to be thinking about is how I didn't see the good guy prevail. So in my mind, the good guy never prevailed. So we watched that whole movie till the end. And we get home and my brother just didn't talk about it. My mom's like, "Yeah, I always wondered why he went for days and didn't play with his doll anymore. He didn't want anything to do with his My Buddy doll." Like, "I don't know, Mom. No clue." Well, I walked to my brother's room the one day and he's sitting on the bed, putting his socks on or something, and I went to go grab his shoes out of his closet and I open up his closet door. And here, My Buddy is hanging from the rack in his closet with a rope tied around his neck, just swinging there in the closet. And I'm going, oh. And I turned and I looked at him very seriously and I said, you don't want to make him mad. Don't worry. I'll cut him down for you. I turned around.
Oh,
Yeah,
He'll come in bed and bite you.
I was a horrible big sister.
yeah. That's funny.
But yeah, to this day, he's just like, no, get it away. Yeah.
I think that some of those spirits too, they can see little kids playing with that stuff, and they'll be like, they can attach to that object, and then they get attention through that kid, and that's scary.
Yeah, well, and I think children are a lot more susceptible to the spirit realm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I've been working on, my mind is just going and going. I've been working on another theory and I've been trying to dig into lately, and I got to try and see what else I can find. In regards to the spirit realm, I've always felt and that the spiritual world and the entities and things that are existing among us, they're not necessarily, like, everybody always thinks of heaven as being way up in the sky, or their image of, but God is all around us all the time. I really have a feeling that we're not looking necessarily in the same place, and how we are surrounded by angels and evil entities and bad spirits, good spirits, loved ones, the so-called purgatory that people believe. I think it is technically all around us. We can't see it. We are out of that dimension, and they are all commingling and are able to see each other on that other realm, that other dimension, in a different vibration. And something somebody had said in another show I was watching the other day kind of triggered in my mind the I'm trying to think of how to explain it, that necessarily Eden wasn't a physical place on earth. It was the spiritual garden of heaven. And when God actually banished Adam and Eve from Eden, he took us away from the ability to pass between, because it states in there that they were able to pass between Eden and earth and the land. Um, and I really think that there was something to do with what these entities can actually cross over and be in both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And that the reason why a lot of people can't see this or feel that or cross over is we were banished from that portion. And that's the Eden that was always talked about in the Bible. If you look at the different translations too, there's between all of the different variations of the book of the Bible, they're all slightly different. And I think DDoS was mentioning that too the other night on his show when he was talking with you guys about how different Bibles have a different explanation or a different interpretation of things. Well,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know exactly which one it is? They're all technically the Bible. It's kind of like if you have a sentence of, and I'm kind of going on a rant here, talking, but if you have a typical sentence and you move the comma, it could have a completely different meaning. Like, hey kids, we're gonna eat. Hey, kids, we're gonna eat. Or, you know, it's the emphasis and how you interpret it in the translation. And I've been
That's true.
reading through the different interpretations and the different ways that all of these different Bibles are written. And you could take one verse and have so many different meanings to it. And it's like no wonder why there are so many factions of faith who are fighting about what is written and what is said. How are you supposed to say, I go to the Bible for all the answers? Well, which one do you go to?
Mm-hmm.
I think DDoS answered that question. He mentioned that the King James version is not an actual translation. It is the supposed to be the most accurate description, I believe, is what he called it, and he's gonna get me for this because I know he's real deep into this. Uh, and I know that Eden, uh, I believe that he believes is a physical place that was. I think they was talking about the North Pole or the South Pole because they found the seven rivers that it fed and out from them. He knew the whole story. He's a lot better at the history of it than I am. Unless Brooks, unless you know, I'm really not
No,
that.
I hear about the same as you did on that. I've heard that it was at one of the polls too. But who knows
Right?
right
Yeah. No,
now?
nobody knows. It's
Uh-uh.
I think it's like the kind of like the DNA sequencing that they show. From Adam and Eve. Uh, there was a scientist that tried to prove the Bible wrong. And whenever they tried to prove the Bible wrong by the Y chromosome, the X chromosome, they came to the determination that it all had to start from one man, one woman because there's no variations in it. So this guy that was trying to disprove the Bible actually ended up proving the Bible and got saved himself and is a Christian
Mm-hmm.
today because he said there cannot be, and I'm probably going to butcher this. He said there cannot be time, matter, and space without all three existing at the same time. In order for all three of those to exist, something has to exist outside of those that is not affected by those to cause it to exist. And that was let there be light was the light. Let there be the space, that was the space, length, and all that. And then the earth was the matter. Everything was made from the
Mm-hmm.
void. And he said that
Spoken.
the scientist said when I sat down and tried to do that, it just came back on me, and it was like, wow, the Bible's already told us the answer to what we're just now coming up with the technology we have. It was already there,
Right.
and it goes back to what you're saying. It's the interpretation, because he didn't come out and say it scientifically, the creation, but whenever the science comes out and says you have to have these three scientifically, and then you look back, God just said it a different way, but
Hmm.
it was always that way. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I definitely believe there's, other realms, other dimensions.
I believe there's
Absolutely.
three. I believe there's three heavens. That's my belief.
3?
Yeah.
Where do
I
you get
believe
the
that
3?
the first heaven is the clouds and stuff that you see. I believe the second heaven is outer space, the planets, the sun, everything that you see, and then the third heaven is where God is. That's my belief.
But God is everywhere.
Hmm.
Well, where He resides,
Hmm.
the Holy Ghost actually, is it's in all of us. But I think that the third heaven is where He resides. That's where we'll go when we die. And the reason I say that's because He talks about the fallen angels, the Watchers. They were in the second heaven,
Hmm.
and they fell from the second heaven. They were deceived by the original fallen angels that were thrown out of heaven, and they were deceived. They actually deceived the Watchers into taking the women and to having the babies. And then you had the Nephilim, and then you had from the Nephilim, then you had the things of the ocean that they procreated with, the things of the field that they procreated with, the things of the air. There was a lot more than just women, than human women
Hmm.
that went on during that time. And I think that's where we get a lot of the different, uh, the lizard people, the people see, the Loch Ness monster. I think a lot of that is because a lot of different strings of the DNA was,
Tampered with.
yes, yeah.
Um, could there be a possibility that the other creatures that he had originally created were these other beings? He created us in his image, but
Hmm.
um, it is also mentioned that he created the beasts in his image as well.
The beast.
Hmm.
I don't.
I'm not familiar with that one.
No, I'm not
Let
either.
me look.
I know man
D
was created in his image. Man
D
was
Dawson.
given the domain over the beasts.
D
Um,
Dawson's gonna be ringing in on me. He's gonna be like, guys, uh, far as my understanding, is that we were made in the image of God. Everything
Hmm.
that walketh, crawleth, or flies, swims, whatever. Uh, Now, I believe that whenever the DNA was tampered with, I believe the reason it was tampered with is because Satan was trying to uh, make the DNA to where the Messiah couldn't be born. It wouldn't be perfect. But
mhm.
what Satan didn't realize was God wasn't going to do it that way, anyways. He was going to do it divinely, and because he done it divinely, it was never going to affect it. I think she's looking Romans.
Yeah.
Romans is like, where is that in the Bible?
Okay,
Yeah,
so God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, the cattle after his kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. God saw it and it was good. And that is
but he
Genesis.
made but he made God in the uh I mean he made people in the image of him, not his kind. What is the meaning of kind?
And that's the other
Uh,
question.
yeah. I mean, God's made the angels and
I would have to research that one.
That is, let's see, page. That is Genesis 1:25. So I read from the King James version, just so that you know.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't know what the other one, the NLT. God made all sorts of wild animals, livestock, small animals, each able to produce offspring, the same kind, and
I
God saw
think
it was
what I think what it's talking about is he made the different kinds of animals of their same kind that they can't.
There are
Uh,
species.
yeah, they can't crossbreed no more
Right.
to stop the tampering of the DNA.
I
And I'm just
agree.
guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing without having a lot of stuff in front of me. But
Well,
I think that because he talked about what was it that your seed and her seed shall not you know and I don't want to quote word for word, but you wouldn't be able to mix no more to become impregnated from other beasts. And I think he like the birds of a feather flock together, and I think what he done is he made each species uh, to their own of their
yeah,
kind of
you
their
can't
kind.
breed a duck with a chicken, I don't think,
I think they
or an
tried,
eagle,
but
or
I
an
don't think
eagle.
that they
Well, how about
happened.
a duck with an eagle? I mean, yeah,
or a great, a
man
great,
was made. Man was made in the image of God. I
or a
don't
Great Dane
believe
and
the
a Chihuahua.
animals. I don't believe the animals were at all.
Yeah,
Um,
so I don't know what I was reading. It must have been another verse somewhere else. I have to look. I thought I had copied it down.
my daughter gets frustrated with me because I'm not so sure, and this will be another huge debate, I'm sure. I'm just saying that I'm not sure. She believes that your dogs and stuff, when they die, they go to heaven.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm stuck on the fence because I've read things both ways. Uh,
Oh, I believe they do go to heaven because number one, when Jesus comes back, he's riding a white horse. There
Hmm.
are animals in heaven.
right.
Hmm.
I heard a preacher say one time something that really confused me. He said animals couldn't inherit the kingdom of heaven because they're
Mm,
not able to accept the Lord Jesus Christ as their Savior and go through the Father, which was the only way.
mhm.
And
Thanks,
I was
Ma.
like, "Where's my dog?" Because I had a lot of dogs growing up. I always thought when they died, I was like, "They're in heaven." Grandma always
Well,
tells me, your dog's in heaven.
yeah, I believe that. And they don't have to, I mean, they're not human. And I
Right.
believe God has things. I, my personal opinion is you have that dog or cat or whatever that you love so much. Why would God let you have that to be your companion through life and
Yes, Scott.
not have it in heaven? I mean, it's not saying the animals are human or saved, but I believe there are animals in heaven because, like I said, Jesus is coming back on a white horse, so
We
there
were
are
given
animals.
we were given the free will to make the decision whether or not to choose God or to turn away from him.
Yes,
Animals were
Jesse.
never given that free will. However, they were given the breath of life. And it
That's
is
right.
said that. Not to
Yes, I
mention,
agree.
how many accounts have we heard of horses being able to see these creatures or spirits or entities? Our cats, our dogs.
Hmm.
I mean, the
Oh
all of
yeah.
the animals react to this spirit realm. So it makes me believe that they are more in tune because they are on that same plane with them and can see that plane of existence, whereas we were banished from that plane.
Hmm.
And again, yeah, the breath of life. It is written in the Bible.
Hmm.
And I know my dog barks at stuff sometimes that I don't even see.
There was a video I showed my mom shortly after their dog passed away. There was a video of a woman who had come home. Her dog had, it was an older dog, had passed away while she was out with her mother. and they pulled up in the driveway, and you can see in the like ring camera or whatever, the dog actually pass through and run out and meet her at her vehicle as she's getting out. You can see the form of the dog, the tail, the eyes are glowing just like you would see in any of these cryptid videos of this eye, not shine, but they're like glowing. And you could see it actually come up to her like it's saying goodbye, and it runs in a circle and then wisps away.
Yeah. I believe animals have a spirit, not necessarily a soul like a human,
Hmm.
but they do have a spirit
Yeah.
for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Here's a good topic for discussion. So do y'all believe ghosts were once fleshly people or animals that were here on Earth at one point in time? Do you believe that is what they are? Does that exist?
Yes.
That's a question from TikTok.
I do believe that some of them are, some of them aren't. Some of them are evil entities that are trying to persuade or dissuade us. But I do believe that we have the ability and that God does allow us to come back if the need is right, if the need be. Um, I've just heard way too many accounts where people have struggled so deeply with the loss of a loved one, and the loved one comes back or leaves a little sign for them to let them know that they're okay, and they can move on just like that. They don't seek out any further. They just know in their hearts. It happened to my mother. My grandmother actually came back to her in, we go back to a dream. My mom said it was way too vivid, way too clear for it to be anything
Dream.
else than my grandmother coming to her in her dream to
Yeah.
say,
What if it happens continuously to where it tries to build a relationship or a haunting, like a residual haunting?
that one I'm a little torn on. I think that there are some spirits that are stuck here and are having a hard time. There is an old tale that uh, when a death happens and they are brought to, and I've always had a struggle with souls remaining at a graveyard, but there's a theory that the last soul, the last person to die, their job is to watch over the bodies of the ones that are left in the graveyard, and they actually protect and watch over all of the souls that have left, or the sacred land per se. And that when the next person comes, they then take over the duties of protecting the land of the people that have passed, and the other person then goes and follows the light and goes. So, that being said, it's a thought that if the ability to then not leave and they are stuck here or don't understand why they're here, it can cause confusion for themselves and create havoc and torment for others that are dealing with them as well. Um, what do you think,
Mm.
Brooks?
I hadn't heard that. When they die and watch the cemetery. No, from what the Bible tells us, is to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. Um, I don't believe that. Yes, I believe that you can have a dream of a parent or whoever coming to see you. Yeah, I do believe that. I've had that happen. But as far as them being a ghost and hanging around, to me, that's a familiar spirit. They know that you're going through the rough time. You're vulnerable. They can gain your trust.
Mhm.
That's my opinion. So,
Yeah,
I,
I think the same way. I think that once we die, we don't come back. I think that it's appointed unto men, but to die once and then judgment. So I believe that once we die, that we are to be absent from the bodies to be present with the Lord. But I do believe though that we do have these familiar spirits that follow us throughout our lives, and they mimic and know everything about us. And a way for them to try to gain our trust and to deceive us would be to come back as something or someone we really missed.
Hmm.
Because I miss my dad, God, a lot, and I would love nothing more than to talk to him one more time or to.
Well,
But I
just
know with
think
the Bible,
if
you know,
if they could do that, I mean, everybody'd be saying, "Oh well, Bob died last year, but Bob's here,
right,
and there's Robert, and there's Bill, and Jenny, and I mean,
right,
everybody'd be talking about everybody being here."
right,
Well,
Yeah.
and I had a preacher even tell me one time also, and this kind of helped me kind of figure things out in my head because I was kind of confused on that. And he said, "Look at it like this: whenever we die, we're promised no more pain, no more
Hmm.
tears, no more sadness. If we could come back and see our family here, knowing what we know about heaven by being there, we would be sad. He's not going to allow us to see that. We're going to go to heaven, and in heaven, thank God, there is no time. So when we go to heaven, it's going to be like we left Earth, and then we're going to turn around, and everybody we love is going to be there. It's not going to be like we're up there waiting because they're outside of that.
but they're okay. So I don't want to get sidetracked. So you think that if we pass or those that pass away wouldn't want to come back because they would be sad to see what we're going through. However, when we pass and we cross over, at that point we are supposed to know all and have all of the knowledge and there's no time. Therefore, to come back for a brief moment, if allowed, to give peace of mind to a loved one that is still here,
Uh-huh.
knowing of what is to come because now you are the soul, the past, and you're just relaying a message or showing comfort. There, it wouldn't make you sad because you already know, you've already felt, you've already experienced what it is to be in the presence of God, and therefore my thought process on this would be it wouldn't then make us sad and to come back.
Right. I,
It's
I think I think that whenever you die and you're outside of time,
mhm,
I think that you won't have time to be sad or miss them when you're dead.
Hmm.
And I believe that the people that are left here that are inside of time, because time doesn't affect heaven, time affects us.
Hmm.
And where
Hmm.
we're affected, I believe that's where Jesus, the Holy Ghost, and the angels will comfort us. Because the ones that have already passed, like a blast of his nostril, he says is 1,000 years. So when they go there, it's going to happen so fast that you're not going to have time to be sad or to miss anybody. To them, time means nothing.
mhm,
And to where to us, we're the Bible even says that we are to be sad at a birth and to rejoice at a death, because they're the ones that are in the great place. We're the ones that are still here in this sinful world.
mhm.
And I think that God gives us peace. I know that He gave me peace when my dad passed. It took a while, but and I think part of finding peace too is you have to allow God to give you that peace, because I was angry for a while and I wouldn't accept that peace. And finally, I just had to be obedient and say, God, I know your word. And I know that my dad is in a better place because, see, I prayed for my dad to have to be healed. And in my mind, that didn't happen. And I believed with all my heart that he would be, like the Bible told me. And I was really angry. And I didn't understand. I was like, God, you said if I believed with all my heart and I asked that I would receive it, and I did that, and it didn't happen. But then when I allowed myself to go from my anger, instead of like God says, a quickened person to anger is a fool, when I allowed myself to calm down and to listen, I realized God gave me the healing I asked for. My dad will never be sick or hurt again. He gave my dad
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
complete healing. He didn't heal
Mm-hmm.
him on earth where he would have to live and die again. He took my dad home, and my dad had a bad disease to where he could have really hurt before he died. It could have been really bad. My dad never hurt a day. My dad ate and walked and laughed and visited.
Mm-hmm.
And the night he passed away, he went to bed and turned his TV off and put his hands behind his head and went to sleep. And I was too
Mm-hmm.
selfish to accept that because I wanted what I wanted because I'm selfish. I wanted my way, not God's way.
Yeah. And
And
yeah, I want to say I do believe that they can come and visit you in dreams. I've had two experiences, one with my dad and one with my grandma. My dad, he lost his leg when he was 5 years old at the hip. So he was on crutches his whole life with one leg. After he passed away, um, this was a week or two after his funeral, I laid back in my chair. I don't know if it was a vision or I went to sleep, but I was in my parents' house all of a sudden, and there was chairs in the living room, and I look across and I see my dad. My dad was 40 years old when he had me, so I'd never seen him young looking. He always had gray hair, and he looked young. And I thought,
mhm.
wow. And I mean, this was a quick dream or vision. I don't know. And he stood up and he acted like he didn't have his crutches and he acted like he was going to fall and then stood straight up on both legs. And I was just like, oh, Dad got his other leg. And
Yeah,
he never said a word to me. He just laughed and that was it. I knew my dad was young again, had his leg back, and he was fine.
yeah.
But that was not a ghost.
No, no, it was. But you believe that that was his spirit that had come back in your dream. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, could have been. I
Is
mean,
that
it could
something
have
that
been
you?
God showing me that
Mhm.
he's fine.
Is that something that you could have possibly even ever imagined
Mm-mm,
in your mind, seeing something like that?
uh-uh, mm-mm,
Mm-mm. So I don't think it was
no,
your, some people will say, well, it's your brain trying to cope and deal with things. And I honestly don't think that. There are dreams
no.
that I have had where
They're
there's no way I could have even
they're
imagined.
they're different than a dream. They're
Hmm.
very, very vivid.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like you are there. It's not like the dream state where you have dreams but I mean, and these are dreams or that they stick.
Yeah.
They stay with you.
Yeah.
That's the other one I had was of my grandma. I love I lost my mom when I was 7. So I got to spend a lot of time with my grandparents. They lived in Oklahoma. And I mean, I was really close to my grandma. And when she passed away in her 90s. Um, and it had been a while since she had passed away, but I had one of those vivid, vivid dreams where I walked into a room and there was a lot of people, and I looked over, and there sitting on my couch was my grandma. Excuse me. And
I'll share
she
something
stood
with you.
up, she stood up, and she hugged me. And that was it. She smiled and hugged me. She didn't say anything. Of course, I went, Grandma, but
Yeah, for sure.
neither one of them talked to me,
Yeah,
but they were vivid.
that's usually what I've heard too. Is it's not really a conversation, but it's almost like a mind speak, I guess, in your brain, going, I'm okay.
I call them kind of like God winks.
I'll
God
share
wink.
this
I
with
like
you.
that.
Yeah.
You tell me what you think about this one. I told my mom about this whenever I was, it's probably, how old was I, you think, when I had that dream I told you about Grandpa when I was on the couch asleep? Probably around 17. I was, my grandma, Granny, had had a stroke, and she wasn't doing bad or anything. She was at home, and the girls were all staying the nights taking care of her, and that's when I told y'all, all the Bigfoot stuff was happening. And I was sleeping in the front room on the couch at our house, not at her house. We had a big picture glass window, and on both sides of it, it had the two long, skinny windows. You could raise up and down. And then the front door was the regular storm door. And I was asleep, and well, I wasn't asleep. I was asleep. I was on the couch, awake, but this all happened in kind of like a dream kind of deal. It's hard to explain, but all of a sudden, outside the windows and the door was really, really bright. I couldn't see out, but it wasn't a light that was coming through the window hurting my eyes. I just couldn't see out. Kind of like a fog. It's got light in it. You just couldn't see out.
Mhm.
And my grandpa, that had already passed away, he come walking through the front door. Had his coveralls on. Wasn't sick no more. Looked really good. He was laughing. He was smiling. Sat down. Sorry, ragweed's got me. He sat down and he says, "What are you doing, boy?" And we we talked, and he told me, he said, "I'm coming to get Granny." And I said, "You are?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm going to come and get her." And I told him, we was talking, and I said, "So you're going to really come and get her?" He said, "I'm going to come and get her tomorrow night." And he was like very clear about it. He was smiling. He wasn't sad. And we were talking. He got up to leave, and I got up to open the door for him because that's what I always done. I'd open the door for him and walk out on the porch as he left and watch him leave. And we get to the door, and I go to open the door, and he says, not mean, but firmly, I guess. He said, "No, you can't go out there now." So I stopped, and he just smiled at me. And he opened the door, and he walked out, and he shut the door. I woke up. The next day, I'm at my granny's house. And she's in bed and everything. Nobody's expecting anything to be bad with her. She's been like this, for a year or so. And she's laying in there talking and everything. And I'm down there, of course. I was always there. And I go in there to see Granny. And I'm sitting there by her, and she got an upset stomach a little bit. And she had a wet washcloth. She was wiping her face, and I was sitting there talking to her. And was having just a regular good visit. She's holding my hand. She always held my hand. And she goes, "You know I love you, right?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I love you too." And we're sitting there, and she goes, "Grandpa's right over there at the corner of the bedroom." And I said, "He is." And then I start like remembering what he told me. I'm coming to get her. And I'm like, wow. And then she sits there, and she said, "You know I love you." And I said, "Yeah." And she was sitting there. I told my other aunt she was sick. My other aunt had come up, and she said, "I just want you to know that I love every one of you." And she had the most beautiful smile. And she laid her head back and went to sleep. I know where
Wow.
she went.
Yeah.
Grandpa walked over, and he took her hand, and they went to heaven.
Mhm.
And that was just him preparing me that he was coming to get her.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. You
It
talk
was,
to
Mhm.
you talk to any hospice nurse that's been working in the field for any length of time, and they'll tell you the same thing too. Um,
Mhm.
Before they pass, their loved ones come. I've heard stories where their pets have actually come to cross them over and say, "Okay, it's time to go," waiting for them. Pets that have passed before. So,
Mhm.
I think it's the things that give us comfort in that time. I believe, I don't know if it's right or not. This is just what I believe. It's not what I read. I don't want to lead anybody astray or anything because I don't know. This is just what I feel. I think that whenever we're in that, and I don't even like to use the word process of dying. I like to say that whenever we're transitioning, I
Mhm.
think that we can see past the veil at times, and I think that he does that to give us comfort to see the other side. It's kind of like, if you're lost in the ocean and you can't see the other side, you panic. But if you look and you see land and hey, I'm going from here to there, you have a destiny, a destination.
hmm
And then you start seeing the things that you're familiar with. You start seeing loved ones, and you're not afraid no more. And I think that's
hmm
part
Mhm.
of the transition is he gives you that peace, the ability to see where you're headed. And a lot of times, like my aunt, she was hit by a drunk driver, and sometimes I wonder when you're in a coma or something, are you really there, or does God take you home? And I kind of think sometimes that they're already home.
Yep.
I think that the body will work as long as we make the body work. But I think our God loves us so much that when there's no chance that we're going to come back, where the body is, not going to work right, I think that we're already home. That's what I believe.
hmm Yeah, I believe that too.
But it's not easy for us to accept because we love them and miss them, and we want them at that Thanksgiving dinner table every year, and we want them at the Christmas tree, and we want to eat their stuffing and laugh with them, and we're
Well,
Yeah,
and that's a selfish thing for us if you think about it, because, like you said, they're in a place where there is no pain, there is no anger, there's no hurt. It's just pure love and joy. So why would we want them to come back to us, to live with us, and spend another day with us when
right.
they're already at peace? So we're being selfish, wishing that they would be here with us.
that's true. They're in a better
And if they
place
came
for
back,
sure.
they may beat some of us to death. They'd say, "What have you been doing since I've been gone? What is wrong with you?" But
Yeah,
yeah, I
I'll tell you,
don't.
there's times growing up that I would hear my grandmother's voice in my head going, no, Jesse, think about what you're
No.
doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just it gives us hope and faith. You know, I didn't know whenever I came into this cryptic world. Man, I thought it was just going to be about everybody talking about Bigfoot, monsters in the woods. And man, did I find out fast that this is a dark subject that has a
hmm,
lot of dark energy connected to it. That you start exploiting the truth and telling the truth about them, and they come after you spiritually, physically, and they have their agenda to keep it hidden and the deception. And I never in my dreams would have thought that it would have been anything like this ever. Uh, Me and Brooks talked about that today. Who would have ever have thought,
yeah,
just
yeah. I mean, wow.
and the people that I thought I knew, and thank God for Brooks and Scott that opened my eyes because I was
and
blinded for a while. I was.
Randy.
Yes, and Randy, thank God, he's our prayer warrior. I was blinded. I was. I'll admit that. I was wrong. And I was blinded. And Brooks and them were saying, hey, you need to look at this. Hey, you need to look at this. Hey, you need to look at this. And these people, these people, they were they were planted. And these people admitted when they were caught that they were planted and who sent them.
Yeah.
And I was like, why? I mean, this is this is Bigfoot. Why are we infiltrating each other on a Bigfoot show? And
Well,
then
I think Scott Carpenter ran into that a little bit
Yep.
too. I mean, not to this extent, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
I think
just
everybody's dealt with that. You go back to even some of these other guys that really don't give two. I don't want to swear on your channel, but you look at some of their older videos and older clips of information that they're putting out there, and yeah, they talk about getting harassed by people that are just, where's the proof? Show me the proof. Show me the proof. Show me the proof. Show me the proof about anything. I mean, it's
Hmm.
it's faith, it's what you accept, it's what you believe, it's what you've experienced, it's your own, you know, dimension of experiences. Or I don't even know how to explain it, but everybody experiences something different. And I honestly believe that, I mean, this has been going on since before internet, before YouTube, before um, any of this stuff was out. People would put newspaper articles out and people would bash them. You look
Right.
at any news footage of any news station who has a Bigfoot sighted, and instantly the newscasters on there going, yeah, they
yeah,
think they saw Bigfoot. And they make it out to a joke from the very beginning because
That's
that
right.
is what they're trained to do, is to make everybody fight amongst themselves and discredit the people that have witnessed what they've witnessed. And that's the other thing that I'm trying to get across with my channel too, is who's who's going to pay for this stuff? I mean, our government has come out finally and said, these UFOs are real. These aliens
right.
are real. Well, okay. So if you've already been lying about that for
Yeah,
years,
Yeah.
all of these people that have been executed and murdered and discredited and ruined, these families, who's paying for those?
Hmm.
Where's the judgment for that? Who- whose head's gonna roll for all of those?
I
Nobody will
All
figured
fess up to it.
I
all I
figured
can
out
say
something
is,
through all of it. And again, I give a lot of credit to Randy Scott and Brooks. They opened my eyes. The rock throwing incident that they tried to say that I did, and I was like, why would they do that? I mean, I had my sister filming me. I know I'm on film. I know what I did, but it was the way they tried to spin it, and I was like, why would they try to do that? And then Brooks and everybody's like, sit down and look at it outside of the box.
Yep.
So I sat down and I looked at it and I was like, it makes sense now. I didn't join an alliance. My numbers were getting too close to certain people. So I was attacked. And I was told from the day one that I opened this channel. And I didn't believe it. I honest to God did not believe it. They said if your channel starts growing, you're going to be attacked.
hmm
And I thought, why? Because to me, it only makes sense that everybody can subscribe to everybody because it doesn't matter. You can subscribe to as many people as you want to. I mean, there's no competition in subscribing. I
hmm
mean, I watch a lot of other shows and I'm
yeah.
like, what is the big deal? But when it comes down to demons and possession, demons are greedy, gluttony, You know, that they eat more than they should. Because they can't experience what we experience. So when they take over a body, they do that through that body as much as they can to try to get that fulfillment that they will never have. But when they see a good person coming up in the numbers, and they might be saying things that you may not want out, about the truth about witches and red shoe clubs, and this is where I'll lose my
Yeah.
monetization on this. But witches and red shoe clubs, bohemian, and you get into all that, and then they start telling you Jesus Christ is buried in Japan, and you don't agree with that. Well, people start attacking you, and
Yeah.
And that's
it,
another thing. We as human beings um, strive for power. And I think it's ingrained in everybody, no matter what you want to believe about yourself. Um, Sooner or later, that power, that greed for power is going to come out. And look at any celebrity, look at any athlete. My mom and I actually joke about Aaron Rodgers when he started with the Packers. He was so humble and gave credit to his team, and it was all about the team and just not about the money, but about the game. But now you look at him and the comments that come out of him now is it's about me. I'm the one that brought the team here. I'm the one that did this. Where's the money? You look at any person who is given the ability to have a little bit of power. Again, what are we taught? Ultimate power corrupts ultimately. And the more power a person can gain, the more they strive for.
Yeah.
And we need to learn how to control ourselves. Um, and that's why I could care less about a number of subscribers. I don't care about money. I have a great job. I love my full-time job. I love the people I work with. It's not a, you know, my whole goal is to spread the information, share the information, build the information and the network of what we could find. Um, through other discussions, even like tonight, I'm digging through verses. There's been discussions about, the vacuum of space. One of the conversations I was having the other day for my pre-recording and how things work. So what did I do? I didn't just go to another cryptid show or dig into that. I actually dug into the scientific background of how things work and why this would happen. It's really important for us to seek out the knowledge and seek out the information and not just follow blindly and
Yeah.
build as a
Go.
group.
Yeah. Go by what one person says. You better believe me.
Right, right. Somebody gives you a free gift. It's the politician. It's the politician ploy. Politician gives you a free gift and says your name a couple of times and shakes your hand, and now what? No matter what they say, they're a good guy, right?
Right.
Well, me personally, all politicians are pretty much corrupt and can just
I
go to an island
agree.
themselves. But um, it's that same thought process about any public figure. You start gaining notoriety, you start gaining power, you start gaining followers, and the next thing you know, a lot of people let that power go to their heads and they start taking down anybody else that doesn't believe what they believe and could turn people against them. I don't care what anybody believes. I'm not here to make believers of anybody.
Mm-mm.
I'm here to gain my own information, to share information, and maybe help you guys along the way too start putting pieces together. Um,
That
let's do it
that's
together.
that's
that's right.
exactly
That's
what
what
we say.
we all want answers.
Yes,
We're all looking for the answers.
and
And
not
no,
and not send me money and look at my numbers tonight. Look how many's on here tonight. Hey, send me some money, guys. I need this. Don't forget
Oh,
to
but
donate.
wait,
Don't
I
forget to
got a
donate.
really good job. I don't need your money, but send me
Yeah,
money.
but send me money anyways. You know, I mean,
And
I just like getting on here and I'm like you guys. There's a lot of things out there that I want to know what they are, why they do what they do, what you know,
Yeah.
why do they get interested in certain people and not other people? What
right.
you know,
Mhm.
what makes them tick?
And
Right.
those are the same things that, I might be watching another show and they might be hitting on something that I know nothing about, but all of a sudden they say or ask a question or make a comment, and it's the way that it's phrased that I'll go, hmm, that just made me think of, like I was saying about Eden and the garden and the spiritual plane and where we were taken out of. Um, I was watching, I can't even remember what I was watching. Oh, you got to check out, if you haven't seen that video with Steve and Nino, you got to see it. But
Oh, I love Nino. Love him.
yeah, well, the first time I ever saw him was Steve's interview that he did with him. Steve
Oh,
Isdall.
I've been following him for a while. He's in El Paso. He's not far from me.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and for the listeners, it's David Nino Rodriguez on YouTube. And
Yeah.
he's really, I mean, he's following the political aspect of what's going on too,
Yeah.
mainly, but he's really good.
Yeah, he's really good speaker and really good information. And
Hmm.
um but
Former
the inner
boxer.
yes.
He's a
And very
former
good
boxer.
looking.
Yeah, he is. I should be 20 years younger.
Sorry, Mike, nothing against you.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm old. I know. I'm still learning. Me and Brooks. Oh my God, we have so many theories and stuff that we talk about. Yeah, you should hear some of our offline conversations.
No.
They
Well,
would
and
probably make better shows.
and that, that was my struggle that I was doing with Jesus Payan the other night. So he gets on and I'm like, "Hey, we just went into it." There was no like introduction because I was doing the pre-recording. It was just like, we just picked up where we left off the last time we had that conversation. And I'm like, "Oh, dude, man, I need to record this. Is this okay?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah. Pictures, whatever I send you." He's like, "Yeah." So now I'm going back and I go, I got to go through this and try and edit it because it's like all of a sudden somebody eavesdropping in on a, like, what did I just walk into conversation. But
Right.
and that's the stuff that like, how do you do that? You got so much information, and again, 3 hours. So much information when people just start talking and sharing their ideas, their thoughts.
Hmm.
No matter how off the wall something sounds, we need to share it and talk about it because you know what? It might lead somebody else to think about, well, that doesn't make sense, but what if this? And it could open up so many doors. And
Hmm.
that's really what I really want to see and work together to do and quit fighting with everybody. I don't want to fight. There is no drama
It,
on my show.
yeah, I'm so sick of the drama. It's not even funny.
We
Yeah,
don't
I
even
had
watch
enough
it
of that.
no more.
I had enough drama in
We
high
totally
school.
quit watching it.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
all decided, all of us, Brooks and all. We decided we're not going. We don't watch it no more. We're just like whatever.
Yeah,
Uh,
Well,
do
and that's
yeah,
why
whatever.
there's a few channels that I am pretty much stick to and devoted to, and again, like Dave Politis,
Yeah,
he lays out the facts, the news, the information.
he's
Here it
good too.
is. I love his stuff, and people,
Hmm.
people make comments. Oh, he's a jerk. Who cares?
Yeah,
That's
he's
your opinion. He has so much information, so
he
much
he
background.
he does. I
Yeah,
watch him too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care. Let him be a jerk. I
yeah.
honestly don't care. His information is good. It's solid. It's true. It's proof. He doesn't speculate other than, he'll say what I think is, or what do you think is going on? People
Right.
get
Right.
mad because he doesn't actually tell you what's going on. Well, that's the whole point. He's giving you the facts. Now you
Yeah.
figure it out.
Right.
And thank you very much, Scott, for that super sticker. That was very nice of you, man. We appreciate
That's
that.
awesome, Scott.
So, do you believe? I'll throw one more out there, then we'll wrap it up real quick because I know we've been a little over 2 hours.
Oh,
This is
I
a
could go on
question.
forever.
Oh, I could too, but Brooks would shoot me. Uh, do you think when we die and we go to heaven, do you believe that we're the age we were when we died, or do you believe that we are at 33 and a half years old at the age that Christ was crucified? I've heard people talk about that back and forth.
I think we are at the age in which we were at our peak.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah, because I've seen or heard things that people die and their children have passed away and they come back to them. They might be a little bit older or look like
Hmm.
they're a little bit older, but they're
Hmm.
still children. I've heard stories where their parents have come back, but they're not super young. They're not in their 30s. They're maybe in their 40s, 50s, but maybe that was their peak life. Maybe that was their peak performance. When they felt the best and the closest to God and best spiritually. So I think that's what we look like when we come back. We could be young, we could be older, wiser. Older sometimes portrays that wiser person,
Hmm.
the gray hairs, not so naive, but that's my thought.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's where we'll be too. I think it's going to be at our
Hmm.
best time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, if anybody has any questions, you can go ahead and put them in capital letters, and we'll try to get to those before we jump off. And feel free to ask Jessie all the hard questions you got. She wants to answer all of them, or
It's on
Brooks.
you, Jesse.
I'll do my best. You know, honest, honestly, I was seeing some of these comments and I'm going, oh wait, I want to know more about some of the stuff that they're talking about in there and some of the things that they've said and um
That's, I get a lot of ideas just off the shows because I always brag and say we have the best listeners and they have the best ideas because a lot of things they'll throw out there, I'll catch myself making notes, and looking it up after the show because I'll be like, that was interesting. Like the
Yeah.
monitoring spirits, I'd never heard of that until I seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's familiar spirits. In my opinion. I always put that out there. This is my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I say too. I don't want
Yeah.
to lead nobody the wrong way. That's
Yeah.
what I
I
worry
don't
about.
either.
Is I don't want to take somebody the wrong way.
see it
No.
and I don't want to be deemed as a false prophet, but that's why I
Right.
like to say, I'd rather, and I guess devil's advocate is such a horrible term to use, but I like to put the thought out there like what if? The
I'm a
Marvels quote, what if?
I like to encourage people to dig in and do some
Mhm.
research yourself, see what you come up with,
Mhm.
you know.
opinionated hillbilly.
Yeah.
There's a lady I watch on YouTube. She actually does a cooking show. What's her name, Mom? The hillbilly lady, the cook, Hillbilly Kitchen. I like to watch her. She's really nice. But if you like to watch cooking shows, I watch cooking shows.
I can't watch cooking shows. Oh, no. I'll next thing I'll know, I'll be in my kitchen at 2 o'clock in the morning, like trying to test the cook, and no, I can't do it.
Stop, rewind. Wait a minute.
I do too.
Yep. My daughter would wake up in the morning and find like a half-made dish. What is this? Don't worry about it. Just try it. No, don't try it. Try it. No, no, just don't.
Well, there's usually no drama in those shows.
Yeah.
I just watch them cook and
Yeah.
eat, and then I sit there and usually eat along with them. You can tell, but
I used to tease my mom.
that,
She would
that's
put those on when she would clean on the weekends. Like, Mom, why are you watching this? All I'm doing, it's making me hungry. Turn it
yeah.
off. So I
See,
have to say,
I like to eat.
back
That's
in
my
the day,
problem.
my mother had probably 1,000 cookbooks, and she read every one of them.
Wow.
so Nick Z made a
So you got some
comment.
good food. Okay.
He said, I did learn that all aborted children grow to maturity in the Lord's kingdom.
I believe that.
And also the same, oh, and then Rebecca Curtis. Yes, also the same with miscarriages.
I believe that.
hmm I
Yeah,
do
because I've heard
too.
of kids coming back
Hmm.
after they were like hurt really bad, and then telling their mom that they met their brother or sister or something that they never
hmm
knew anything about. Yeah, I believe that.
Here, I have a challenge for anybody out there listening too. Um, and I'm sure I've mentioned it before. I've mentioned it on a couple of the shows. There is a book written by Lorna Burns. She is an Irish woman who grew up with the ability to see angels. She wrote a book called Angels in My Hair. She has a second book, but the first book is spectacular. She talks about our transition over to death with the loss of her father. She talks about growing up and seeking, and not seeking, but seeing these angels that come to her. And she does speak about the loss of miscarriages and aborted children and stuff like that. And the things that she talks about in there is it's eye-opening. And I challenge anybody to, find this book and read it. Angels in My Hair by Lorna Burns. It's a beautiful book, beautiful story. It's her autobiography. Um, I tried honestly, I tried to have my brother listen or read this book, and he said, "Well, she had demons following her," and I'm like, "But you need to read the book and hear her story. It'll definitely change your mind. There are things in there that um, will make you think about angels and spirits and everything so differently. Um, but it's really good. I say go ahead and read it, or you could get it on audiobooks.
I have to check that out.
Hmm.
Well, I think we'll wrap it up, Jesse. We're glad to have you, and go ahead and plug your show in one more time so everybody knows where to find you and what you're doing. And
Okay, so my show is Arcane Paranormal World. I also have a Facebook page that you can join. It's arcane.paranormal.world on Facebook, and then I have a Facebook group that you can message to join also, and it's for everybody to just again share ideas of all the arcane, unknown, paranormal, cryptid, unexplained things that we experience and witness and see and have learned, and share ideas and grow as a community. Um, it's a free space to kind of put your ideas out there and stories, and no judgment. No hate, no judgment on it whatsoever. No story is too strange. Um, well, I shouldn't say that. Some stories are strange, but no stories that I wouldn't necessarily judge. And then I also have the YouTube Arcane Dash Paranormal World on YouTube. You can find me, and make sure you check out the next video. It'll be a two-parter with Jesus Payan. It'll be a great one.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to check it out. Thanks
I
for
am
joining
too.
us, Jesse, and
Thank you.
I hope you'll come back.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
It
All
was nice
right.
meeting you, Jesse.
Nice meeting you, Brooks. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
I always enjoy having her on. She's so nice,
Yeah, she's
and
really nice.
she has a lot of information too, and I enjoy talking with her.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think me and Brooks are going to call it a night. It's been a little over 2 hours, and I'm sure she's ready to go do something else. And I think I'm going to find me a snack and watch a cooking show. So, But I appreciate, we appreciate each and every one of you guys showing up. Scott, thank you so much for that donation again. Uh, you do too much. You do enough already. All my moderators do. They go above and beyond, and we've been through some hard times, and we're still going through some hard times. So we appreciate all your support and everything. Like we said, donations are not expected, but they do help. And someday
Yeah.
you guys will know where it's all going and why and everything. That will be at a later show. But again, we thank each and every one of you. If we don't see you before Christmas, guys, Merry Christmas to you and your families, and God bless.
Good night, everybody.